Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, I'm Nurfid Effendi. Tonight in Primetime Asia, President Barack Obama gathers leaders from Southeast Asia to strengthen trade ties and form a common stance on the South China Sea. China says its deployment of necessary homeland defense facilities on its own territory is designed to exercise the rights of self-preservation and self-defense endowed by international law. This will not affect other countries' freedom of navigation and flight over the South China Sea endowed by international law, adding it hopes Australia can take an objective and fair stance and refrain from doing things that will harm peace and stability in the region. Peru's Deputy Health Minister confirmed second case of Zika virus in a 35-year-old Peruvian citizen, and workers fumigate a cemetery in downtown Lima as part of prevention efforts. North Korea holds an international figure skating festival in Pyongyang to celebrate the 74th birth anniversary of its late leader Kim Jong-il. Katani Knox has the details and more.
President Barack Obama gathered leaders from Southeast Asia on Monday, February 15th, to strengthen trade ties and form a common stance on the South China Sea in a summit the White House hopes will solidify U.S. influence in the region. Obama, who leaves office next year, has championed a foreign policy pivot to Asia during his presidency and is determined to present the United States as a Pacific power. His meeting with leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, was aimed at cementing that legacy, he said, at the start of the two-day summit at Sunnylands, a California resort. Obama hoped that the national commitment of the United States would lead to a strong and enduring partnership with the 10 ASEAN nations. The meeting, at the same location where Obama once hosted Chinese President Xi Jinping, was designed to demonstrate Washington's role as a counterweight to Beijing and as an eager trading partner with ASEAN members. White House National Security Advisor Susan Rice told reporters U.S. companies had more than doubled investment in the region since 2008. On Monday, February 15th, the leaders were slated to focus on economic issues, including discussion of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Deal, which includes 4 ASEAN members: Vietnam, Singapore, Brunei and Malaysia. Others are interested in joining, and the White House wants to make sure the pact takes effect. On Tuesday, February 16th, the leaders discussed maritime issues, particularly the South China Sea, where China and several Southeast Asian states have conflicting and overlapping claims. White House officials have said Obama would deliver a tough message to China that disputes over the South China Sea must be resolved peacefully and not by bullying. The challenge may be to get all ASEAN countries to agree on a strong statement on the issue. Officials say China has put pressure on countries such as Cambodia and Laos not to sign on. China's role in the region hung over the meeting. Rice said she expected China would support new international sanctions on North Korea for its recent rocket launches. Advocacy group Human Rights Watch urged the Obama administration to object to human rights violations in countries such as Cambodia and Thailand during the summit. The president touched on the issue without specifics during his remarks, saying that at the summit, strong, prosperous and inclusive societies required good governance, rule of law, accountable institutions, vibrant civil societies and upholding human rights. Combating climate change and cooperating on counter-terrorism and the fight against Islamic State militants were also on the agenda. China hopes Australia can take an objective and fair stance on the issue of the South China Sea, said the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson on Tuesday. Spokesman Hong Lei told a routine press briefing before Australian Foreign Minister Jolie Bishop begins an official visit to China scheduled for Tuesday to Thursday, hoping Australia will not choose to ignore the fact that the arbitration initiated by the Philippines violates international law. The arbitration over the South China Sea, unilaterally filed by the Philippines, violates both international law and also the consensus reached between China and the Philippines and relevant provisions of the Declaration on the Code of Conduct on the South China Sea. China will never accept this arbitration, and China hopes Australia will not choose to ignore the fact, said Hong. Hong also reiterated that China's construction on the islands in the South China Sea will not affect their country's navigation freedom in the South China Sea. Peace and order have been restored in Hong Kong's Mong Kok district a week after a riot took place between protesters and police, but residents are reluctant to talk about the incident. Vendors along Argyle Street, where rioters clashed with police after a clearance operation on illegal hawkers from the busy commercial neighbourhood during Lunar New Year celebrations, generally showed aversion to the riot. Some were unwilling to readdress the incident, while others believed that normal life should not be interrupted by rioters. Hong Kong media condemned the riot and expressed hope for a united and peaceful city that will abide by the law. The riot, plotted mainly by a local radical separatist organisation, rocked Mong Kok on the early morning of February 9th. Some of the rioters barricaded the street, set fires, damaged police cars, pelted police officers with bricks and assaulted others who were knocked to the ground. Nearly 90 police officers as well as 4 journalists were injured during the riot. The police have so far arrested more than 60 suspects and 40 of them have been charged with riot. China confirmed a second imported Zika case on Monday, 6 days after the first was detected, the General Administration of Quality Supervision, Inspection and Quarantine said. The administration's branch in South Guangdong province found a passenger with fever at Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport on February 12th and was confirmed with Zika virus by the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention on the same day. The 28-year-old patient was exposed to an infected person in Venezuela days before returning to Guangzhou on February 9th via the Netherlands and Russia, the administration said in a statement. The quarantine patient has shown signs of recovery with temperature back to normal. China's first patient with the virus was discharged from hospital on Sunday after a full recovery. Disease prevention experts say the risk of any spread of the virus from this case is low due to timely quarantine. Symptoms of the Zika virus, which spreads to people through mosquito bites, include fever, joint pain, a rash, conjunctivitis, headache and muscle pain. Peru's Deputy Health Minister confirmed the country's second case of the mosquito-borne Zika virus on February 12th as fumigations were underway at a local cemetery in downtown Lima. Authorities believe the 35-year-old man contracted the virus while on holiday in Venezuela, although he returned without symptoms. The case was detected using Peru's vigilance system to confirm that it's an imported case of Zika. It's a confirmed case and Peru will proceed with prevention measures, said the Deputy Health Minister Percy Minaya. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro said on February 11th that 3 people had died of complications linked to the Zika virus and that suspected cases of Zika in the country had risen to 5,221. A Venezuelan man living in Lima became the country's first case of Zika last month. Authorities believe he contracted the disease while traveling in Colombia. Minaya emphasized the importance of control measures such as fumigation to help curb mosquito populations. A sharp increase in birth defects in Brazil has triggered a global health emergency over the virus, which had previously been viewed as a relatively mild illness and has spurred a race to develop a vaccine and better diagnostic tests. Although Zika is predominantly spread by mosquitoes, scientists are looking into possible transmission by blood and sexual contact, which would complicate efforts to contain the outbreak. North Korea held an international figure skating festival on Monday, February 15th in Pyongyang to celebrate the 74th birth anniversary of its late leader Kim Jong-il. Video provided by North Korea's official news agency KCNA, which Reuters cannot independently verify, showed the opening ceremony of the festival where people watched performances by figure skaters from North Korea, Russia, Latvia, Belarus and Canada. The 24th Paektusan Prize International Figure Skating Festival is scheduled to take place in Pyongyang from Monday to Wednesday, February 17th, KCNA added. Kim Jong-il's birthday is on February 16th and has been labelled the Day of the Shining Star, celebrated by the communist state as a national holiday. Kim died of an apparent heart attack in December 2011 after ruling North Korea for 17 years. His youngest son, Kim Jong-un, named North Korea's great successor, took over after his father's death.
Welcome back. 2 Chinese ethnic Uyghur men deny all charges against them for involvement in a bombing that killed 20 people in Bangkok last year. The first defendant, Bilal Mohammed, came into the country on August 21, 2015, many days after the blast incident. The suspect denies all charges as well as the last 2 charges that says he illegally entered the country in May 2015. He also claims that he was tortured and threatened by authorities. A 5.7 magnitude earthquake rocked the New Zealand city of Christchurch on Sunday. A 5-story high slide in a Shanghai shopping mall is a big attraction, even though it doesn't open to the public until next month. A jilted elephant in southwestern China wanders onto Tourist Road and damages cars for the 3rd time in the past week. A California man covers his home in old family photos after deciding to sell the property that's been in his family for 70 years. Katin Knox again with the details.
Two Chinese ethnic Uyghur men on Tuesday, February 16th, appeared at a Thai military court and denied all charges against them for involvement in a bombing that killed 20 people in Bangkok last year. Most of those killed in the August 17th explosion at the Erawan Shrine near a busy Bangkok intersection were foreigners. More than 120 were wounded by the blast at the shrine, a popular attraction for both tourists and Thais alike. "I am an innocent Muslim," Yusufu Miarali, one of the two suspects, told the court. Miarali asked the court to accelerate proceedings as he had already spent 6 months in jail. Miarali and Adam Karadag, also known as Bilal Muhammad, heard the charges against them at a court in the Thai capital's historic quarters. They arrived shackled and handcuffed with shaved heads and wearing beige Thai prison uniforms. They faced 10 charges, including murder, premeditated murder and illegal possession of explosives. Police said both men had confessed to having a role in the August 17th explosion. Karadag's lawyer, Shuchat Kanpai, said on Tuesday that his client had never confessed. Shuchat said he had asked the court to look into his client's allegations that he was tortured in custody. The junta has said it was unlikely the two suspects were tortured while in military custody. The next stage in the case will take place on April 20th, 22nd, when both sides will review evidence, a judge said in court. No group has claimed responsibility for the August attack, which Thai authorities have said was in retaliation for a crackdown on human smuggling gangs and not a terrorist attack. But some security experts say the bomb was in retaliation for Thailand's forced repatriation of more than 100 Uyghurs into China in July, rather than in response to a crackdown on human smuggling gangs. China has long faced criticism for the restrictions it places on religion and culture in Xinjiang, where the majority of Uyghurs live. Police said in December that 2 other suspects wanted in connection with the bomb had been arrested abroad and that Thailand was in the process of requesting their extradition. Since then, there has been no progress in bringing the 2 suspects to Thailand, and Thai police said this week they were unsure of the suspects' whereabouts. Police have issued warrants for 17 people in connection with the attack. 15 of those wanted are still at large. A 5.7 magnitude quake struck near New Zealand's city of Christchurch on Sunday, February 14th, according to the country's earthquake monitoring service. It hit just 8 days short of the anniversary of the February 22, 2011 earthquake in the same region, which resulted in nearly 200 deaths and caused billions of dollars of damage. The epicenter was 15 kilometers east of the city at a depth of 15 kilometers, GNet said. Vehicles could be seen shaking in driveways, while a police spokesman told Reuters there were no reports of major damage or injuries. Several buildings were evacuated in Christchurch as a precautionary measure. Civil defence said there was no tsunami threat to New Zealand. A wild elephant in China's southwestern Yunnan province wandered onto a tourist road on Monday, February 15th, and damaged cars for the 3rd time in the past week. The elephant, named Zusunya or Dusunya by locals, first left a nature reserve on Friday, February 12th, and damaged 14 cars parked along the road, and another 4 on Sunday, February 14th. It then dented 9 more cars during the rampage on Monday. It was probably angry after losing a fight for a mate, state-run Xinhua news agency cited local workers as saying. Local police officers were busy checking the damaged cars and trying to evacuate people in the area. Police said the elephant had crushed some vehicles with its massive weight. One of the witnesses said she saw the elephant walking towards their tourist coach, and all people on the coach were scared as it hit the front door of the coach with its forehead. Dozens of tourists and locals were seen near the site watching the apparently jilted elephant, showing its frustrations. Xinhua reported the insurance companies are investigating the conditions of the cars and will offer compensation soon. A giant slide as high as 5 stories in a shopping mall in Shanghai is already attracting attention, even though it's not expected to open to the public until next month. The 54-meter slide, shaped like a curling dragon, winds from the 5th floor to the ground floor of a shopping mall in China's financial hub city of Shanghai. Erica Liu, the general manager of marketing department of the Pinot Printemps Redoute Shanghai, said the slide incorporates curves to slow the high speed when sliding down from the top. The whole trip takes about 16 seconds. It took over a month to build the slide, which is part of a promotion campaign for the shopping mall. As a safety measure, only 1 person would be allowed on the slide at a time. Riders must be older than 3 years old and taller than 1.1 meters or 3.6 feet. Some customers are ready to give it a try. Others said they would like to see a more open design of the slide to satisfy different riders. The giant slide is set to open to the public on March 15th, after it's gone through more security checks. It'll be free of charge to all customers. When Gary Sweeney decided to sell his childhood home in the coastal Los Angeles area town of Manhattan Beach, he decided to give the piece of property a send-off in style. Sweeney covered the home with enlarged old family photos to give a sneak peek of the lives that were lived inside.
He owned, what inspired me is the fact that when I sold the house, I went into this little mini panic. This house has been in our family for 70 years, and my sister and I were brought home from the hospital to this house, and my father passed away in this house. My grandmother passed away in this house, and it's been the only house that I knew for up until I left college, and it's been in our family for 70 years, and I really felt that I needed to do something to give it a proper farewell. There's smelled in there. It was yeah. Oh, I didn't think it was gross.
80 photos cover the house like a patchwork quilt, showing images of Sweeney throughout his life, his parents and his grandmother. Sweeney inherited the home after his father, a local councilman and mayor, died in 2001. Now living in Texas, Sweeney decided to sell the 20s-era home to finance his retirement. He reportedly sold it for $2.6 million, and the new owners plan on demolishing the property and replacing it with a new home.
We'll be back at the same time next week with more news and features from the Asia-Pacific region. For more news, you can visit our website at www.rtbnews.rtb.gov.bn. I'm Nurfida Fendi, wishing you a good week ahead, and good night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.